I have searched many years on end. There was none that my soul could depend. My soul cries out for your presence in here. This very hour, for your presence in here. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the peace I seek. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the joy I seek. I have searched many years on end. There was none that my soul could depend. My soul cries out for your presence in here. This very hour, for your presence in here. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the peace I seek. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the joy I seek. In your presence I am free from the chain that has bound me. In your presence I am calm, waiting for the kingdom come. In your presence I am free from the chain that has bound me. In your presence I am calm, waiting for the kingdom come. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the peace I seek. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the joy I seek.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here with us. I am Nicole Wallace, and I will be interviewing Sean Rivera this evening. I want to make sure that you guys are commenting, liking, and sharing this broadcast. Along with sharing, you can also tag a lot of your friends in it that you think might be benefited by these testimonies as well as what we're talking about. We're in a new series right now called Real Talk, Real Faith, and it has been really good to hear different people's testimonies as well as just getting to the nitty-gritty about what faith is. So we hope that you're enjoying it. And all the shout outs to all of our School of Transformation Light students that have just joined. There's 18 of you out there, and we just wanted to say hello. We're so glad that you're part of that school. Before we go on to the roundtable discussion, I wanted to turn our attention to Sean. Sean, you and I go way back.
We do.
We went to high school together.
That's right.
In fact, I always believed you were so much younger than me. You know,
Just 1 year.
1 year is nothing. You know, when you go to high school and you think like all the younger classmen are just, they're always younger
Way
in your
younger.
eyes. Not true.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know kind of about, you know, I didn't really know you in high school. I knew you by name.
Yeah.
And that was about it. But, you know, you have an interesting story about Christianity and kind of living, growing up in it. So tell us about what life was like for you as a child.
My parents divorced when I was really young. I was about 5. And so I kind of grew up in a torn up household. My parents were good parents, but I really chose to hide. I really chose to be alone, and I was really afraid.
Yeah.
So I really like to hide.
You like to hide.
And go ahead.
Was there Christianity in your home? I mean, was it introduced to you at a young age?
Yeah, my memory is my mom was a Christian and my dad wasn't. So eventually, after the divorce, for about 10 years, we would move every Friday, me and my 2 sisters. So I'd go from a Christian home 1 week, and then the next Friday we'd go to my dad's house, the non-Christian home. So we'd go to church on Sundays with my mom, but not with my dad.
That had to be really confusing as a little guy. I mean, just first of all, having that split and then trying to figure out where you fit and who you are with this idea of Christianity in the background, but yet not really knowing how to apply it. So when you grew up with the knowledge of Christianity, were you able to apply it in your life?
No, I really wanted to, and I really didn't know how. But I think the opportunity was always there to be a Christian, but I didn't really want to listen to anybody. I only trusted myself, and I was really afraid. So it was like I know my mom really tried, and I know my dad and my stepmom, they were very good parents, but it was like a lack of good. So just where there was a void, the lies came into my life, and whatever I decided to be the truth was the truth, whether it was right or wrong.
I think that's a really good point to point out, because I think often we, as children, adolescents, and even adults, don't want to follow anyone. You know, we kind of are ingrained to kind of be isolated and alone a little bit, and especially if we have decided that's part of our life, and then just choosing what truth is, and then just making it your truth. That's where a lot of confusion can come in, don't you think? So you went through, grew up in Oroville. You were born and raised here.
That's right.
More power to you. We love the Orovillians. I didn't get that privilege. We came when I was 10. But you have a legacy and an inheritance here that's really cool. I love that. So after high school, you got married got married to Amy, who's another one of our wonderful pastors here.
Yeah.
And then you kind of set a life to go to ministry school and still trying to figure out Christianity. What did that look like in your younger years to figure out? I mean, because you had a foundation kind of set alone, to be alone, to understand. And then so you built your foundation on a false truth of what you had decided truth was.
Yeah.
So how did that set you askew or off kilter?
Well, I didn't really have morals, so I was drinking and going to church and smoking, and I didn't have anything to stand on. I didn't really have a foundation. It was a foundation kind of made up upon what I thought was right. And it wasn't. So I went to a ministry school. I got married. I was having kids. And really I really wanted to be a Christian. And I really wanted to know Jesus. But I didn't know how to do it. And it was really all on my own. And it was really all what I thought was right and what I thought was wrong. And it just got more confusing.
Wow.
And more alone. And more just darkness and drinking and a lot of hiding,
Yeah.
lot of hiding and lying and just kind of being this dysfunctional person.
Functional, dysfunctional. You looked functioning on the outside, but inside you were broken.
Yeah, inside I'm just like I'm dying inside.
Right.
I'm alone. I'm afraid. I want to hide.
What was the turning point for you? You know, you have 4 children.
I got 4.
Wonderful children. And you guys moved back to Orville and you guys were kind of lost, you know, just kind of what was the turning?
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Which you didn't want to come back to Orville, did you? Wasn't really your first choice?
I wanted to be in Orville because of family.
Okay.
So I think my wife, it wasn't her first choice, but I was okay with it.
Okay. What was the turning point in your life that took you from this kind of mediocre Christian in your beliefs and in your standards and your life to somebody that was found to be, you were ordained in the Father's house. So that's not taken lightly.
No.
And it's a lot of work to become that. So
Yeah.
come from one step to the other. What does that look like in between?
Well, I started coming to church here in 2009, and it took me about 2 years to be a real Christian. I was still hiding and sneaking around, but it was just listening and following. I went to the School of Transformation in 2011, and then choosing to do the next right thing. I think my whole life it's like I've been kind of playing catch up with. I had kids early, got married early, and I have been choosing to do the next right thing every day. And it's always been one day at a time. And it's always been reading the words of Jesus. It's been listening and following the leader in front of me.
Leaders.
That that shows me the right way. And really learning how to trust them. Like really learning how to trust the words that come out of people's mouths. And taking those words and applying them to my life, and it not being what I think, but what the person in front of me thinks is right, and really putting away my right and wrong system.
And that's good too, because you have to really choose to put away the truth that you built your life on, even the false truth.
Yeah.
The decisions that you made that you thought were right, you have to put those away and really choose to follow someone in human form that says that they're Jesus people.
Yeah.
And that is what really. And then another thing that you came out of hiding.
Yeah.
You know, you chose to be
seen.
Yeah. And right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, I remember being angry and kind of depressed, even around people that I shouldn't be angry and depressed around. But just being myself and letting all the bad and the good come out, and just letting people love me and see me for who I am, regardless of what I think of myself.
Yeah. And because of that, those choices, you've really become a man to follow.
Yeah.
And you lead men now, don't you?
I do.
You lead them in inner healing. You lead them in mentoring.
Yeah.
You lead them in pastoring.
Right.
And it's been really wonderful to watch the transformation in you, from that kid to me.
From high school, yeah.
That was in high school, so much younger than me.
So much younger.
No, you are not. You actually look way older than me now.
Oh, thank you.
Wiser and more mature. You like that?
I like that.
I like this too. I like the beard.
Thank you.
It's very, very good. If you like this beard, give a thumbs up. We're all in on the beard. So we have a minute left. Someone who may have grown up with an understanding of Christianity, somebody who may have built a foundation on lies or their own truth, what would you say to them right now when they're like, yeah, I know all the right answers, but I can't seem to get from point A to point B?
Yeah.
What would you tell them right now?
I would just say stop listening to yourself and choose to listen to someone else who knows what they're doing. And the way you can find out someone who knows what they're doing is the fruit in their life. What are they producing around them that is true, that is real, that is tangible? What do you want in your life that is good? And if there's that person in front of you that has good things, then choose to listen to them and let them see you for who you are, the good and the bad, and express what you want and say what you want, and it is very possible.
That's awesome. get involved in a church that is a Jesus believing, truth
Yeah.
talking church, that they are the same that they are on Sunday mornings as they are in their living room.
Yeah, that's important.
It's so important to get involved in a ministry and be present to give and receive as well. But placing yourself in a position where you're really followed. You're really following somebody. And then in turn, once the fruit is good, you can start saying, hey, follow me. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's really good. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
We have up next an advertisement for School of Transformation, which is a 6-month school going to be starting again in September, as well as we're going to do a roundtable discussion, and we're just going to chat away about real talk, real faith, real talk, and we hope you enjoy it. We'll see you soon.
Are you looking for something real? An encounter with Jesus that changes everything? A place to belong and find purpose? Are you ready to become who Jesus created you to be? Father's House School of Transformation is a 6-month ministry school in Oroville, California. Our mission is to help you to answer the call of Jesus on your life, to follow him, to know him, to become a true son or daughter, and to learn how to love as he has loved you. Through life-changing teachings, powerful times of worship, one-on-one mentoring, and hands-on training and outreach to the community, you will encounter the living presence of Jesus and be transformed. Do not miss this opportunity to go deeper with Jesus and discover who you will become. Apply today.
What's up, everybody? I'm Danielle, and I am here with Nick Zeppi and Jacob Budd, and we have a panel for you tonight. We had one other guy, but realized that because we wanted to stay 6 feet apart, that we were just going to get it down. So if you're worried about that, I brought my tape measure, and we actually, don't touch me, Jacob. Okay. We actually measured 6 feet right there.
And
on the
3/4.
6 feet and 3/4. So anyways, I'm with these guys, and tonight I really wanted to talk about like the importance of community, because you two and Johnny, we were gonna have Johnny on as well. Mm-hmm. You guys got here and really bought into community, and I would say it's one of the top reasons that you really turned the corner, you know, in your addiction, mm-hmm. and so you know your selfishness. Yeah. We talked about that the other night, mm-hmm. And so Nick, why don't you start? How has community really helped your walk with God?
Well, for me, coming into this thing, even though I was an extrovert,
yeah,
I was a big guy who thrived in secrecy. Mm-hmm. And so community, for me, really pulled me away from that.
Yeah.
And
how did secrets harm you? Why are secrets bad?
Well, because secrets have a tendency to have power in our lives through shame.
Yeah.
And through guilt.
Yeah.
And that's what it did for me, is it really weighed me down, allowed me to stay in this place of shame and guilt. And so stepping into community really allowed me to be exposed.
Well, what would that look like practically? I mean, did you just go around telling every single person in the church about all your secrets?
No.
Or, I mean, is that what we're supposed to do?
No.
Wouldn't that be kind of awkward, huh?
No.
Hey, everybody! No, I'm just kidding.
No, total opposite, actually. It was a process for me, definitely.
Because you didn't come in day one just saying, hey, this is everything. There was some trust that was built.
Yeah.
You were watching us, making sure we're trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. And that was a big thing, is just seeing that people here were trustworthy, and that I could open up, and I could, trust people. And so that started with your husband. It started with one person.
That's Derek Devine. Yeah.
Derek Devine. And it started with just slowly stepping into that.
Yeah.
And for me, it started with things like just somebody making me mad.
Yeah.
or how do I deal with my anger?
Yeah.
And
because
then,
in the past you didn't deal with your anger.
no,
You just
pushed it all down.
Okay.
Everything got
Yeah.
pushed down. Everything got pushed down until eventually I exploded.
Yeah. Did he ever
Right.
explode on you?
Nick?
Yeah.
No. No, he didn't. I think. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, by the time I had gotten here, the community, Nick had been here a year and some change longer than I had been here, and he had been working with Derek. And I kind of came into that covering of Nick and Derek. So Nick had
Yeah.
already been really working on that before I got here. And then Johnny, who was supposed to be here, he was also a part of that kind
Yeah.
of crew. And I was the fourth,
Amigo?
fourth amigo that came in. And,
Yeah, because you, Johnny, and Nick were also kind of around the same level in school.
Yeah,
And so
we
you
did
guys,
school together.
Yeah, so you were really a brotherhood, and really that was a really strong bond.
Yeah, it was the thing that got me through those beginning stages of trying to trust people
Yeah.
and trying to figure out whether these people were trustworthy. I had this, almost community
Mm-hmm.
that I had adopted, brotherhood, Derek fathering me, coming into that I was able to kind of, where I thought I was going to be able to hide,
Yeah.
but then very quickly found out that I couldn't.
But see, I'm having a hard time because there's so many people out there, and there's such a belief that I don't have to tell people my stuff. I just have to tell God. Like, I don't have to tell anyone that I struggled with certain stuff or that I did certain stuff. Like, all I have to do is tell God. And, He's the one I'm accountable to. So in your life, where have you, talk to me about that. Like, prove me wrong.
Well, I think that we all start off with that.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning,
Yeah.
I really did say, you know what, I'm just going to tell my stuff to God,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to go about my business.
What, did you see real change in that?
No, I really didn't. And I continued, like I said before, I was just a prisoner to this shame and this
Yeah.
guilt of these things of the past and these things that I was struggling
Yeah.
with. And I think you said it best in your book. In
Yeah.
order for us to experience exponential supernatural growth,
Right.
we have to allow somebody else into our life and lead us.
That's farther ahead than us.
along
Yep.
than us.
That's
And
good.
and so once we grasp a hold of that, and once we begin to step into that, we see that exponential growth that you were talking about.
Because there's so much power in community and friendship. I mean,
Yeah.
It's
if God
huge.
wanted us to be alone, why did He create us to be born into a family? That's a community. Like, that's God's design, is for us to be existing in community, and to iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
Which, when I look at you two, that's really what it comes down to, Jacob. Is you guys have sharpened each other.
Yeah.
So what does that look like practically? Like, for the day-to-day discipleship, living in community. Iron sharpens iron.
I mean, it's every single day, and it's no compromising in the day to day. I mean, even working, not just with the guys, but with you
Yeah.
on certain things, and as somebody that really has mothered me, and
Yeah.
and along with Derek, it's every single day consistency. Exposing myself, and
Right.
it's super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I've bit back, a lot,
No,
many.
no biting back.
Just really kind of,
He's got a sharp bite too. He's got the great incisors.
Yeah, and
incredible
so, and it's just, I think the biggest thing is just that every single day, look, I'm here. And it doesn't always look comfortable. And it doesn't always, it doesn't kind of meet my expectations usually ever, until I got to a certain point where I knew what caused that exponential growth in me, within community and us being together, but the communication of it and how you guys have been there, and just really just the tough love and the hugs and the slugs and
Yeah.
all of that. It's every single day has been really what has sharpened me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when I'm discipling women, I'm sure it's the same for you guys, but they will sometimes tell me a secret or something they've been holding on to for years, and they've just been so ashamed about, and the enemy just knocks them around. I mean, just knocks them around, how terrible they are, how much they should hate themselves
Yeah.
over this thing. And they end up telling me, and I literally get the chance to just look at them and say, you're really normal, right? And they look at me and they're like, what do you mean? I said, you're like the 10th woman out of 10 to tell me that they did that.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you serious? So the enemy likes to keep us in isolation, believing that something's broken with us or that we are beyond forgiveness. And when we are by ourselves, we stay there. So this community thing is both for accountability, like in our lives, and discipline, but it's also so that I can just look someone in the eyes and say, no, like, you're normal. Let's get over this. This is not a big deal. Forgive yourself and let's move on. And so the positive sides, I mean, it's all positive. It's all good, right? We talked about iron sharpening iron. But in what ways has the building up, the love, the trust, the relational part of community, how has that really helped you?
I mean, I if I can, the identity that has been instilled in me through that.
Yeah. What does that mean? I don't understand.
Okay, so I came in just believing I was the lowest of the low and loved hiding in the shadows. Hated myself.
Yeah.
All the way up, even years into it, continued to hate myself and continued to believe who I said I was. And then it's that day in, day out of, no, this is who you are. No, that's not true. This is what's true.
And God was telling you that, or who was telling you that?
No, you guys were telling me. Nick was telling me. I mean, times where even being on a job site, doing a job for Nick and just saying, look, I put this out here for you to do. I know who you are. I know what you can do. Get it done. And just that continually building me up. And now, I mean, I got to walk through, one of the hardest times of my life, my dad passing away, and going up and walking alongside my sister, who I introduced to bad stuff for the first, as we were in high school together, and then I got to walk alongside her as a strong tower for her to come to, and even now she's coming here. She'll be here tomorrow, and it's just going to be incredible to see. It's just incredible to see the fruit in just my immediate family. Because of that,
So what I hear you saying is there's things that you believed about yourself that the community was so important because they said, actually, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like how you're seeing yourself is so wrong. And so Nick, talk about that, because so many people believe so many lies about themselves that when everybody else looks at them, they don't see it. And that's why we know their lies, like being stupid, for example. That is probably one of the most common lies in every Christian's life. Most common lie in Christianity is, I'm stupid. Like, I don't want to try new things. I'm afraid to fail. And then when everybody else looks at them, they don't see that. And so just relying on people's truth for that, how important has that been for you, and how important is that in Christianity?
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think that Nolan Zink said it best when he gave a sermon and he was talking about how he went on a walk with somebody.
Yeah.
And the person pointed out the fact that he limped.
Yeah.
And it was due to an injury that he'd had years prior, and he didn't even know that he limped.
Yeah.
And it took them bringing it to his attention, and then he looked at his boot and he saw that his boot was worn down, and he was like, "Oh, I do limp."
Yeah,
and,
it's really
and that's really how it is with our walk. Is that we don't even see the dysfunction that we have lived in because it's just our norm.
It's
just norm. And that's where and it's actually really comfortable too. And so that's where it's really difficult for us to get away from that. But just living in community and being in community and having somebody to say, that right there isn't who you are.
That's good.
And you need to step away from that.
That's
and
good.
then in turn, one thing that I wanted to touch on that's really important is that it's huge for us then to be real.
Yeah.
Like, we have to be real. Like, I could be accountable to you and be telling you how I'm doing, and you could be thinking that I'm doing excellent.
Yeah, because you're telling me what I want to hear.
Right.
And we haven't had any of those, right? We don't ever have it.
Pros at that.
Right. But truly, the person that we're hurting is ourselves,
That's
and
right.
the only one that knows the truth is us and God.
Yeah.
And so, are we okay to be just hanging out in our dysfunction, or do we actually want to be better? And so it's huge for us to be real in this thing, be real in this accountability thing, be real in this community, and allow people to see the real me, right?
Dang, you are just scaring the crap out of me, though, because, I mean, being exposed is not fun.
No.
Because I think most of us would rather live in the delusion that we're okay or that we're good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Than actually come to the terms of something's might be wrong with me. And I think that's the wrong way to look at it.
It's not that something's wrong with me. It's that Jesus is our goal. Jesus is the plumb line, right? We're aiming to be like him. And if we're just okay in our dysfunction, then, we're totally missing the boat.
Yeah.
And it's this fear of failure too.
Yeah.
Fear of being exposed and all that.
I mean, the plumb line is huge, right? That was, coming in and having conversations of, this is where you need to be and this is where you're at. And like seeing where the plumb line was and just someone saying, even if it wasn't directed at me, where the plumb line was, it made me sink into this just like, I'm a complete failure. There's no way I can do it.
Yeah.
But then that community comes along and says, well, this is the direction.
Yeah.
Just, one step, follow me. And this is who you are. And you get closer and closer to that plumb line and you start actually loving yourself. And, you really can't get there without the community. You can't, draw a line in the sand in your life by yourself.
Yeah.
You draw the line where you're comfortable. And then you see
so
it
good.
doesn't matter where you draw
Say
the
that
line.
again. You draw the line where you're comfortable.
Yeah, you draw your line where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter where the plumb line is because you have your comfortable little line.
and
right
you're
there.
reaching your expectations.
Exactly. You reach your own expectations. And for someone to come in and say that, well, actually, the line's here. And
This
you
is
should,
what you're capable
Yeah,
of.
and it's either you get offended or you actually
So good.
are
Nick.
exposed
That goes. I want to piggyback right off of that. Is that we have a statement around here where we say, "My intention is to never sin again."
Yeah.
Right. And so, what that is are we never going to sin again? Well, that's going to be pretty tough. But at the same
The
time,
answer is no, Nick. You can say it emphatically.
but my intention is to never sin again, and that's somebody calling me to excellence.
Yeah.
That's me saying that I'm going after excellence. I'm not going to just be comfortable right here. I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to allow other people to
so
challenge me as well.
It's really good. I think some of the disheartening, a theme that's very disheartening in community is that we are all at different spiritual maturity ages.
Yeah.
So you have your born again Christians that are brand new baby Christians. You have, your Steve and Vicki's who've been doing this for 40 years. And I think the travesty is sometimes the 5-year-old Christian compares themselves to the 35-year-old Christian. And it's not fair. And I think that's where that feeling of failure comes in. There needs to be correct expectations where someone's at. I wouldn't expect DJ, my son, who's 16 months old, to be able to do the math problems and the reading that my 6-year-old's doing. And we can all understand that. But when it comes to a community of believers for ourselves, sometimes we compare ourselves to other people's faith. Like it's not fair for Jacob to compare himself to me. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah. It
Now,
puts me in a bad spot.
it puts him in a bad spot and he feels like a failure. But the truth is that we're all walking down this journey. God's taken us down our own path, and we just need to be growing and taking a step every day.
That's huge.
You don't take 10 steps in one day very often. Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Usually at the other end of a good discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also understanding that we're all different.
Yeah.
Like just the other day, me and you were out at the property, and
Yeah.
you were running. For those of you that don't know, Danielle is super talented, and
Thank you.
she was running a tractor, and she got out of the tractor. And for me, I run a tractor too, and for me, that's a perfect opportunity for me to spend time with God. And
Yeah.
you jumped out of the tractor, and I said, "You get some God time in," and you're like, "No," and I was like, "Oh, well, because that's time for me." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, when do you do that?" And you said, "Well, I like a dark closet.
dark
You know, I like a dark closet."
You're
And
telling my secrets.
I know.
Nick.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
too
but
focused,
it's just too
single-focused.
important. But if I were to step into a dark closet, I'd be sleeping in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
We know that's true.
So,
Yeah.
so
Call him Grandpa.
Taking him to a movie theater.
yeah, you can't take me to a movie theater. I'll fall
No,
asleep.
don't take him to the movie theater. That's
They're
not
closed.
good.
But it's important to recognize that we're different and
Yeah.
we do
Yeah.
different things. And obviously, we want to imitate one another and we want to learn from one
Yeah.
another. But we also have to know that we're different.
We are, and we're all at different stages.
Yeah.
That's why, Nick, you can help all these guys in LRM because they're on step 1 and you're on step 5. And you can help them get to step
6.
5 or 6. Well, we don't know how many steps there are.
Oh, okay.
So there could be only 8.
Yeah,
Then you
okay.
probably would be on 5. You get it?
Ouch.
No, 8 till you die, until you, Jesus says, well done.
He's comparing.
Yeah, he's comparing. He's a perfectionist in a good way. Well, right there it wasn't very good, but no. So you know, my point is that we're all helping each other along. Let's say you were even on step 2, which you're not. You can still help that guy get from one step to step 2 very quickly because you've already been through that. And that's what we need to continue going through our Christianity and maturing so we can help the people behind us and try to never be that person that they catch up to so that we keep moving ahead, that they keep moving ahead. And we're pushing on, pressing each other to this excellence in faith. And being like okay when we are toddlers and we act like toddlers.
And it's so hard for like, especially, I mean, I only know the men's side of things.
Yeah.
Pride can get in the way so fast, even within Christianity, right?
It's actually, it's a lot easier for women to do this than men. I'm going to be honest, because women follow a little bit easier.
Yeah. And so we get stumped up, you know, thinking, oh, well, he's doing better than me. And we compensate by, you know, in our own way, hiding again and putting on a show of, actually I am doing good. You know, look at me, I'm doing well out of almost pride pushing us forward. And then that foundation is so rocky that it washes out. And you realize that, oh, I've only been at this for 5.5 years. And, you know, an example like my wife has been a Christian since she was 2. And it's like, I got into this marriage thing and I'm like, I have to be the priest of my household and I have to take this and run with it.
Which
and
you do.
Which I do. And I really am incredible at it. But you know, well, I mean,
he's pretty good at it.
That's fruit. Me saying that.
You're great at it.
You know,
You're great at it.
But there's things that I have to go to her and be like, well, what about this? And just like, you know, partner with her.
Especially like theologically, because Sarah, you know, she's a bean counter. She's, you know,
she is the smartest person I know. It's incredible.
So, you know, we've talked about a lot. We haven't really brushed on accountability, but I think we've talked about accountability in other talks. You know, the importance of going to somebody with our stuff and saying, oh man, this was my thought today, or hey, I had a panic attack, or you know, I had this inappropriate thought, or whatever. That's super important. And if you don't have someone in your life that of good fruit, of spiritual maturity that's farther along than you, that you're doing that with, then you really need to consider it, because you talk about wanting to live a guilt-free life. That's really where it is. And someone who will hold the standard for you will say, well, how's your thought life now? You know, and really causing you to go further up and further in. But another cool aspect of community is that, like what you said, is none of us are the same. We all have different giftings. So, you know, Jacob is such an exhorter, and he's such a good, not party guy. He's not a party guy, but he's an exhorter, and he brings a good time, and he's such a good connector and networker, and so is Nick. And Nick is extremely funny. If you haven't ever been around Nick, he hasn't been extremely funny here, but maybe we'll get him in there.
Well, we're not doing stand-up.
I know, we're not doing stand-up. Hit us with a joke, Nick.
I got nothing.
But it's so cool how in a community everybody has different giftings, you know? Some people have the ability to see things so clearly. The other people have the ability to dream. And that's what I love about God's community. Is there anything you guys want to add real quick? We're running out of time when it comes to community and why it's so important.
Well, I mean, it just on what you just said right there is that that's what makes our community so special, is that everybody is unique, and it adds salt. It adds that uniqueness and that flair to it, because everybody has their own gifting and their own talents. And how boring would it be if everybody was the same? It would be just completely boring, unless everybody was like you.
He's lying. Anyways, I appreciate it though.
Yeah, I mean, it would very, very similarly, you know, having coming to the understanding with a group of people of what your identity is. Going after Jesus, and that's going to be massive. You know, what flavor you bring to the stew, and just understanding that we're all in this together. You know, we all have one end result, which is to go after Him as a family and as a team, and as Christians, and it's like we get caught up so easily on where we're not. Just let those people that you've allowed to be mentors or accountability in your life, let them really, help you come to an understanding of where you're at.
So good. Well, Nick, Jacob, I really appreciate you guys coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We just want to say thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed that thoroughly. These panels have been pretty good. I've actually really enjoyed them. But I hope you can join us tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We will have church tomorrow, and it'll be really good. Steve will be bringing the word. But anyways, give a shout out to Nick and Jacob. They did awesome. We love you guys. We hope you enjoy this series on Real Talk, Real Faith. See you later.